Story 1. I quit a job that was affecting me both mentally and physically. I recently met an incredible woman. Yesterday, I asked if she would be my partner, as things are progressing really well. She said yes, and our connection is truly special. Although there is some distance between us, we are both committed and willing to do whatever it takes. There is nothing I wouldn't do for her. She means everything to me. Story 2. I accomplished the achievement of still being here in this world. Another day of life is a blessing. In the present moment, it is called the present because it is a gift. Appreciate the now, everyone. Story 3. I have my schoolwork more under control. I started taking ADHD medication, I am in therapy, and I have a disability support allowance coming. This is much better than this time last year when I had none of these things. Story 4. 37 days sober from tetrahydrocannabinol after 2 decades of chronic use. I applied for internal positions and had an interview yesterday that went well. I fixed a tooth that I had been putting off for a couple of years. Story 5. I've read a few books already and so far I'm still alive. Onwards and trying not to go backwards. Story 6. Just made a batch of tuna salad, and it's a triumph. Creamy, seasoned, not too salty, with a mix of sweet and dill relish, pepitas for crunch, and a bit of mustard to make it pop. Unfortunately, I didn't write down the recipe, so we'll see what happens next time. Story 7. I have solved the 5x5 Rubik's Cube. I can now solve the 2x2, 3x3, 4x4, and 5x5 cubes. I think I will stop there, except I might try the 1x1. Story 8. I managed to get sick on the brink of the new year, and now I have COVID. Does being ill twice count? Story 9. I managed to land my dream job by emailing a company where I wanted to work with a proposal for a role I believed they needed, and they accepted it. Story 10. As a Canadian, I've watched our country unite, but it is also frustrating to see it implode before our eyes. I keep telling people it has been the longest month of our lives since the leader took over, but it has only been 17 days. Story 11. Not too much yet. I got myself out of a sales rut, made $600 in Las Vegas, and had a great night with my girlfriend. Those are the only things that stand out. Story 12. I created a giant mural, produced several art videos for YouTube, and registered for a table at an illustration fair. I am also working on starting an art fundamentals course at the Makerspace. This is all significant because I spent last year in severe depression. Finally feels like I have awakened. Story 13. I lost a significant amount of weight at a steady pace by changing my diet and exercising regularly in recovery from a heart attack. I am still making progress and should reach my ideal weight within the year. This feels very good, and I do not struggle with the diet. It is just a change in my habits, switching to a Mediterranean diet and eating more vegetables while reducing my intake of red meat. Story 14. I stopped consuming any kind of content in short video format, such as YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, and TikTok. Besides the lack of actual usage or positive effects, I realized that it makes me angry to have no influence over what is being shown to me. These videos are not topics I actively choose to watch, nor would I look for them if they weren't just there in my face. Suddenly, I have more free time and I use it for things that are actually fun and enjoyable, like reading, watching TV shows, playing on my PlayStation 5, and household activities. Story 15. I finally finished my degree and am about to start working and saving. I'm thinking about proposing to my girlfriend later this year. Story 16. I went from drinking large amounts of hard alcohol every night and blacking out daily. I have not had a sip of hard alcohol all year. I have not lost a single moment of this year to being drunk. Story 17. I learned how to replace parts and make repairs to my pellet stove. I had never even seen one 14 months ago. I learned how to bleed the line on my oil-burning furnace and get it up and running again. Story 18. I have come to terms with the fact that his love was never truly meant for me. I no longer question whether he ever loved me, even in the slightest. Story 19. I deleted Instagram and TikTok, significantly reduced my use of Facebook, and cleared out many subreddits. Story 20. I started a YouTube channel with my wife and some friends where we play a tabletop role-playing game that we all love. There's not much traction yet, but we're having a great time doing it. Story 21. I traveled to the other side of the world by airplane for the first time, flying from Europe to Southeast Asia for a wedding. Story 22. I completed a 72-hour fast, consuming only water and coffee during that time. I nearly cried when I finally drank bone broth at the end of the fast. I was grateful and it was delicious. Story 23. My 11-year-old, who was quite a challenge for years, just received an award at school for having an amazing year and a 4.0 GPA. Navigating autism has been an intense experience, but his mother and I have worked extensively to improve his self-confidence, and it is paying off. Story 24. I have been consistently exercising a minimum of 3 days a week. This is an improvement from virtually no exercise at all. It is a win for me. Story 25. I was able to fit into some of the clothes I couldn't wear last year. It's a small progress, but it still made me smile. Story 26. I landed a job at Disney Corporate, managing all of their construction and sourcing projects. I had been hoping for a chance and I finally got it. It's awesome. Story 27. I performed a slow muscle up, included cardio in my routine, and prioritized building meaningful relationships instead of engaging in casual encounters. Story 28. I am experiencing many challenging thoughts, but I am holding on and maintaining my sanity as I pursue my goals and career. Story 29. I started a new medication and I am no longer depressed. I am practicing self-care and beginning my day at 5:30 a.m. instead of sleeping until 8:30 a.m. I feel productive and proactive regarding my health. Story 30. I have finally internalized the value of inner beauty in women, and I have a very close female friend to thank. I was always advised to appreciate this by my parents, but as last year progressed, I eventually understood it. Story 31. I made an official report to a detective about childhood sexual abuse that occurred when I was 14 years old. I cannot express how I feel about it. It is a horrible experience. Story 32. I have written about 12,000 words of my next novel. I did not write for 3 weeks due to flu and travel for holidays. Story 33. After a year of thinking about starting a blog, I finally broke down and did it. I got the website up and running and posted a couple of days ago. It is definitely a work in progress, but it feels amazing to have put myself out there instead of succumbing to the usual self-doubts. Story 34. I survived a broken ankle, a car accident that cost me $1,200, my college football team performing poorly, and discovering I might have cancer. Overall, it has been a challenging year. Story 35. My skincare has been a priority for me. I have been diligent about using a face wash daily and moisturizer twice a day. It may seem small, but it used to be non-existent, so I consider it a win. Story 36. Go out and enjoy a meal with someone who is not family. I experience severe anxiety, and I feel too shy to eat in front of strangers. In fact, when I am working, I have lunch at unusual times to avoid conversations with colleagues. Story 37. I experienced both of my vehicles breaking down last month, and they are still not functioning. My roof has begun to leak in multiple spots, so I have had to file my first ever homeowner's insurance claim. I should find out soon how that goes. It's been a rough start to the year. Story 38. I survived a firestorm, set up a new classroom at a different location since the old one was destroyed, and created a sense of normalcy for my students who also experienced the Eaton fire. I have also been cleaning the ash from my former home. Story 39. I am pursuing neonatology, which focuses on small babies and preemies, from one of the most prestigious institutes in India. I can proudly say that I played a significant role in saving a baby who had a severe type of congenital diaphragmatic hernia, a defect where abdominal organs are positioned near the lungs, causing underdevelopment of the lungs. Thinking about it always makes me happy. I have made many mistakes in my life, and by doing things like this, perhaps I can find some redemption. Story 40. I aimed low and hit the target. I could continue the mediocre work, but I prefer not to push myself too much. Story 41. I have learned that when you have everything you once wanted, you will miss the time you lost getting to that point. I quit a well-paying job and am now unemployed. Finding peace. Story 42. I have spent the last 3 months preparing for a job where I was one of two final candidates. I wanted to ensure I left with no loose ends. I found out yesterday that I did not get the job. I feel like an unfinished task. Story 43. I achieved my peak physique but lost it due to stress. This year, I will try to achieve this again. I am also 1 year closer to becoming an engineer. Story 44. I started therapy. I decided to quit my job, which I still need to do, and I learned 2 new songs on guitar. It's not much, but it's still something. A year is long. Story 45. I moved back home with my family. I learned all the lyrics to Born Free in a few days. I celebrated 10 years of marriage. I achieved 1,000 finishing moves in Call of Duty. Black Ops 6. Story 46. I received a significant pay raise in a job that I used to love, but now I find it frustrating and limiting. It would be challenging to find a similarly well-paid position without having to relocate, so I feel stuck. Is that an accomplishment or a failure, I wonder? Story 47. The school project I participated in finished second among all school projects this year. However, the first project won because their teacher awarded them 0.03 more points than us at the very last moment. Story 48. I taught myself the basics of lockpicking and have mastered opening the 6 locks I possess. It's a fun and relatively inexpensive hobby. Story 49. I lost 2 job offers due to market trends. One offer was rescinded the day before I was to start, and the other was put on hold due to the chaos caused by Trump, creating uncertainty with government contracts. Story 50. I filed my taxes and received my federal refund already. My state refund will likely take until July or August, if history is any indication. Story 51. I reduced my drinking significantly and lost about 7 pounds. I feel better for it and still have the occasional day at the pub. Story 52. Finally found a doctor who listened. I feel better than I have in years because she paid attention and showed empathy. Listening is a lost art everywhere, especially in primary healthcare. Story 53. I traveled the country, gained some muscle, and I am starting school for nursing on Monday. So far, it has been a good year. Story 54. I have started purchasing my new PC parts. That's an accomplishment for me because it's hard to save money. I bought a case, an AM5 motherboard, and RAM so far. My biggest achievement will be if I complete it by the end of the year. Story 55. I started playing Dark Souls. It's nothing big, but I've wanted to play it for a while. My PC was never good enough. Story 56. I got a new job that I start on the 24th of this month with a $20,000 raise. I also have an offer pending on a house, so I'm really hoping to get that as well. Worst case, I'll keep looking, but after nearly 10 years of being underpaid and facing economic challenges, I feel like 2025 is my year. Story 57. Just 2025? Did you get a new, better paying job? February 2024 to February 2025? I was laid off from the same company twice and got engaged. Story 58. I got a reliable job starting in a couple of weeks. Despite feeling incredibly depressed, I have managed to get dressed and leave the house almost every day. Story 59. I started playing video games on my laptop again. I stopped playing since March last year for several reasons. Story 60. I'm 40 years old, and I finally started taking drum lessons, something I've wanted to do for the past 20 years. Story 61. I have Barrow's gloves on my Ironman account. I received tickets to go to Manchester. Every bill has been paid on time so far. Story 62. I have achieved 3 aces this year so far in disc golf. Last year, I had a total of 3. I feel like this will be a good year. I have also started working out since I came close to weighing 300 pounds. It was disheartening how little I could lift. But now I feel stronger and I am lifting significantly more. Story 63. Not gonna hit unless you have experienced depression before, but I just reached 365 days of getting out of bed every single day as soon as I wake up, making my bed and taking a shower. Story 64. My wife and I are buying our first home, And I have also started going to the gym again after a long break. I have lost 5 pounds so far. Story 65. I've had suicidal thoughts every single day, but I haven't yet had to call for help because it has not gotten that bad. So there's that, I guess. Story 66. I found a better paying, lower stress job and started the new year without car payments. It's time to save some money now. Story 67. Since January, I have lost 10 pounds. Since last July, I have lost over 40 pounds. All the while, I have been gaining a significant amount of muscle. Story 68. I stayed alive and kept fighting, despite wanting to do the opposite. My family still thinks I am a failure, though. Story 69. I broke my back but did not get paralyzed. Hooray for modern medicine. I will have rods for 6 months, and supposedly, I'll be as good as new when they are taken out. Story 70. I started walking instead of having a cigarette. When I feel the urge to smoke, I take a lap. I have lost 15 pounds and saved some money too. Story 71. I have been diagnosed with a serious disease that affects my mobility. I was depressed briefly before I got myself together. I have tried stand-up comedy twice, joined a historical weapons club, and spent time with my last grandparent. I cook more adventurous meals and read more. Life is good, even when it's challenging. Story 72. I just bought a house yesterday. I am currently sitting in my closet with my terrified cat while the movers pack up my belongings. Story 73. I have to attend a training camp for my job. It's challenging, but I wanted to do it. I am also looking to buy my first good car and plan to see it this weekend. Story 74. January. A cold for 2 weeks, heartbreak for 3, and then a lung infection that affected me for another 3. It has been a long month. Story 75. I made plans for my future. I removed all the moldy dishes from my room. Story 76. Mate, it's barely February. I have managed to tie my shoelaces and be at work on time. Do you mind? Story 77. Enshittification of things that were once amazing and cutting edge. Enshittification is the term of the decade. Story 78. I made a 6-foot wide boombox, a giant Polaroid, and now I am making a mini Ford Mustang convertible out of cardboard for our dog parade. Story 79. My former employer lied to me, so I sent them pictures of the texts about my promotion. I spent 3 days in custody while they tried to claim I was harassing them. By the time it gets to the judge, I will have them read what they sent to me aloud, allowing them to demonstrate the education they cannot deliver to your children. I am a janitor at a school, and my coworkers are 35 years old with the education of a student. There are many stories and plenty of evidence. Do you want to continue lying? Story 80. I got my first postgraduate job. I am pleased to be already familiar with the staff and how everything works. I look forward to seeing how much work I can accomplish that helps the community, and I couldn't be happier. Story 81. I have already written more words this year than I did in the entirety of 2024. Writing is my favorite hobby, but work usually leaves little energy for anything else. I was fortunate to get sick 2 weeks ago, which gave me some time off to write a few thousand words. Story 82. I finished every theory and test in my college course, got a job, and bought the first outfit and stuffed toy for my baby, who is due sometime in August or September. Story 83. I have attended the park run every weekend so far, even going to great lengths on a couple of occasions when the nearest events were canceled. I am also learning to play the piano and staying committed to it. Additionally, I have been cooking more and ordering takeaway less. Overall, I am doing quite well. Story 84. Spent 700 hours but finally learned how to make a magic ring and a crochet heart. It looks more like a crooked kidney, but I will take it. Story 85. I learned that you can always fail no matter what. Despite the failure, you move on. Take it easy. Story 86. My farmhouse was a bit small. I added rooms. Now I feel more comfortable. This gives me a lot of happiness. Story 87. Finally, I have been to Table Mountain in Cape Town. Every time I visited Cape Town, I was unable to go. It was amazing. I would definitely go again. Story 88. As of yesterday, I am officially diagnosed with autism, something I have known I had since I was 12. I will be 25 in April. Story 89. I still have a roof over my head and haven't lost my drive, but I keep procrastinating on getting my licenses renewed. It's difficult to consider accomplishments when it seems like the world is retreating, as most fail to acknowledge the pieces crumbling as quickly as they're swept under the illusion of comfortable living. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.